Keith, thank you again so much. This is an honor. I mean, as someone who fell in love with journalism early on, I feel like I never thought in all my years I would be getting to speak with one of the greats. So thank you for the time. I feel like I should start off by saying, like, it was 2:30 Central when I sat down with Keith Morrison. I feel like that would kind of put us in the right zone for it. Yeah, but in all seriousness, 3,000 episodes now. Did you ever think when first joining this crew back in the 90s, you'd still be doing this now at 78 years old?
No, it's just a simple answer to that question. I assumed that, maybe we'd get 3 episodes or maybe 30, but 3,000 is remarkable. I used to, at the beginning, I would call myself a stealth correspondent because I didn't want to have a profile at all. I just wanted to sort of scuttle around and do stories. But gradually, we developed into this program that tells very intimate stories about people's difficult situations, do them with the kind of sensitivity that allows people to kind of lean in on them. And it's been a privilege to do.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, we know you do it so well. I'm curious, it's probably hard to reflect back with 3,000 shows, but in all your stories that you've covered, are there certain narratives that stand out, a moment when you felt particularly proud to be a journalist?
They're like children in a way. You don't want to pick one out over the other one.
Yeah.
When I think back, there are, somebody will bring up a story and I'll think, oh yeah, that was my very favorite one. And then somebody else will bring up a different story and think, well, that was my favorite one. But there are so many of them. And usually they have to do with, let me call it the Horton here's a who philosophy. A person's a person, no matter how small, Horton the elephant used to say. And we encounter people who recognize in other people tremendous humanity. And so when something goes terribly wrong, or when somebody is murdered, or where somebody is acting in a very evil way, we look for the person who is coming along to make it better, to reflect on the importance of that person. And those are the kind of stories.
Yeah. Well, again, we know you do such a great service in that regard to people truly across the country and have captured viewers in the process, just again, fighting for humanity, as you've mentioned, in a number of ways. I know your persona has, I think, even often been parodied a number of times, even if by yourself, I think, on various sketch comedies, though, if you will. Do you feel your natural demeanor does lend itself to being more serious, or do you kind of have to tap into a certain mindset when you're on the scene with these cases?
You want to be serious, and I am, and I take people's situations very seriously indeed, as seriously as I possibly can. But I recognize that deep down, we're all just a little bit ridiculous, and especially me. So if I can make fun of myself, it keeps me grounded.
Yeah, in the best way possible, I'm sure. I'm curious too, are there certain things you have to do to kind of detach, because you deal with, again, pretty unthinkable cases. How much does what you see and cover kind of impact you, even when you're off the clock?
You would think it would, right? Because some of them are really dreadful. Interestingly, it's I come away from these stories usually with a reinforced feeling about the goodness of human beings, in spite of the terrible things that some people do. And I'm shocked and surprised at some of the terrible things some people do, and I'll repeat them to other people and say, you wouldn't believe what so-and-so said or did. But at the same time, there is a kind of an undercurrent of humanity that runs through all of us. And that's the thing that I come away thinking about more often than not.
Yeah, I was going to ask just as we wrap up here briefly, because I know your time is short, but on a similar sense, I'm curious again what you really learned, throughout your decades now with this show about just, again, relationships, the human psyche in some ways, just kind of life in general. Major takeaways.
Major takeaways. All right, sure. Anybody is capable of anything, good or bad. Everybody lies all the time. Everybody worries about themselves. Everybody worries about whether or not he or she is a good human being. And everybody is a little bit frightened. And if you put all of those things together, you've got a stew that you need some positive thinking. I don't know, that's ridiculous ideas, but that kind of idea.
Yeah, I feel like I would agree with you in so many senses. I feel like I'm one of those viewers of the show, you see it and you think, praise God, that's not me, but we're all capable, I think, of things. And, it's only by certainly his goodness that we're able to live the life that we do get to live. And again, it's when we find common ground with other people, knowing that we're all just people figuring it out, right? Again, that's just the nature of humanity, trying to live this life. And so we know that you, again, tell that narrative so wonderfully throughout the show, while also, again, fighting for justice and defending people in a number of ways. Keith, my friend, thank you again for the time. If I can say my friend, I hope so. But thank you again so much. And just wishing you continued success. 3,000 episodes is quite the accomplishment. We wish you many more coming up in the seasons ahead. So thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.